Welcome to the second episode of the Encounter podcast. Today we have two stories for you featured in the October edition of the Encounter. The stories we have for you is the asbestos problem in the Rialto and how the art department had to adapt their learning to being outside of the Rialto without their art equipment. After that, we have a micro-celebrity on campus, Carter Abraham. We'll be talking to him about his disability and all the surgeries he's had to go through throughout his life. Now we're going to be talking to Harley. Harley, welcome. How are you doing?
I'm great. How are you today?
That's good. I'm doing good. So the asbestos problem in the Rialto, this happened earlier this year, and the Rialto has completely closed down. And you got to talk to, who did you get to talk to for this, to find out what's going on?
So I interviewed the Dean of Arts and Sciences, Elizabeth McDermott, and then I also interviewed the department chair and professor at the art department, Paul Urshan.
Okay. And what did they have to say? Because you said that, you had to take sort of a different route with your story. Originally, it was just going to be about the asbestos problem and how it happened and everything, but you had to take a different route about how the department adapted to sort of being about how the department adapted into how they dealt with the problem and how they found a solution with the students and everything. So how did that go with the students? I know they heavily rely on all the supplies and stuff at the Rialto and everything. So how did they get around that?
So a lot of the art classes, right, are physical art. We've got drawing, we've got sculpture, ceramics. These are students that rely on these materials that are literally locked inside of the Rialto. There were chains on the doors. You couldn't get in at all. So Paul and Elizabeth McDermott had to emergency order supplies. They had to temporarily relocate a lot of the classrooms onto campus. Photography students were taking pictures outside. They were doing photo walks. Drawing students, I think, were drawing outside, just working with what they had. And I know a lot of the sculpting students had to move down to the art gallery next to the Rialto. And even then, they still didn't have access to a kiln. We didn't have access to any of the paints. There was a lot that they just kind of went without. And I think Paul had described how it really only worked out, right? Because this happened early August, and they only thought it was going to be maybe a week, maybe a couple days. Late August comes, and they're completely shut out of the Rialto, and they're like, this is indefinite. We have no idea when this will reopen. There was just a lot of loops to jump through that weren't getting, obviously jump through. So then by the end of, late August, early September, they're like, is this going to keep going? How long can we keep doing this? Finally, the Rialto reopens maybe, a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. And, now that our students have access, and that was really the only reason that they adapted, I think, so well, was because they reached that point of being able to, we can go back and get our materials now. But if they had kept going, Paul had said that they weren't really sure what else they were going to do.
Okay. And so it's a good thing that the Rialto is finally open and everything. I didn't even know about that. I thought it was still closed. There's a lot of construction going around there too, so I guess I can't really get over there to see for myself and everything too.
Yeah, when I had to drive over there, because I'm also a student worker on that campus, it takes me over a half hour just to leave because you have to, the bridges are closed. There's so many one lanes, and that entire corner around the front end of the Rialto is closed. All those streets, you can't drive on them at all.
Yeah. Trust me, I know. I'm a baseball player here, and we have to get over to Dooley Health and Care Field all the time, every day for practice and everything. So, yeah. But one last thing, real quick. So, now that the Rialto is opened and everything, and students are not here on campus, the art students and everything, that's completely confirmed. There's no more classes here on campus or at St. Clair's campus or anywhere else. They're all back into the Rialto now. It's a whole 100% open now, correct?
Yes, they have access to the third and fourth floor where the art materials are located. Total access, regular student workers are back working there. The department chairs have access to their studios and stuff like that. They're still moving, I think, a lot of the equipment back to the Rialto that they had moved, to the other relocated spaces. But yeah, everyone's back on the main art campus.
Okay. Well, that's all we have for the story on the Rialto with the asbestos problem. I know I took photography 1 over at the Rialto. I really enjoyed that class. It was a lot of fun going around taking pictures. It was a film class, so we took pictures in the dark. We did the dark room and everything. So if you need your gen ed art class, I 100% recommend taking photography 1. I really enjoyed that class. But next we're going over to students on the election, and we're going to be talking about that next here. And we're back after the students on the election story, and now I'm here with micro celebrity Carter Abraham, and we're going to be talking about him and how he is doing. How are you doing, Carter?
I'm doing great, Brand. How about yourself?
I'm doing awesome. Thank you for asking. So, what we're going to be talking about here is, so you have your condition. What is it called again?
Hydrocephalus, otherwise known as fluid in the brain.
Okay, hydrocephalus. And so when did you have this condition like from birth, or did it come over time? Like how did this happen?
I have had this since I was born. I remember the doctors diagnosed it, and well, a few months later, specifically in March of 2005, I had my first shunt put in, and that was basically my first ever brain surgery.
Okay. And so you had this since birth, and it's been through your whole life. How has this condition affected you throughout your whole life? Like from childhood, being a student, like being in kindergarten into grade school, middle school, into high school. How would you say this has affected your life? Positively, negatively, or like has it come in waves? Like has it come and go and everything?
Well, all I gotta say is with the disability, it's because a piece of my brain didn't develop, and because of this disability, I have at times headaches during a storm, depending on how bad it is. And well, I have to drink water heavily in order to not get dehydrated and have a medical episode. And basically, my disability, since it is in the brain, it basically means that it could affect me anyway. Like if my shunts were to have any issues like malfunction or any damage to the tubing, then the fluid would take place like kind of like how if oxygen was cut off from the brain.
And also, you had a most recent surgery. I remember seeing on your Instagram that you had a surgery recently a while back. And
Yeah.
and how was that? Like what number surgery would this be for you?
Number 13.
Wow. Holy. Number 13.
Yep.
Wow. Holy. I've I've never had a surgery myself, so I don't know if I could ever do that. That's really
Insane.
yeah. Wow. Okay. So what surgery what was this for?
Well, because there was a nick in the tubing of my shunt, a nick like, a little bend.
Like a little bend, yeah.
Yeah, and they had to go in there to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this is the third surgery I've had this year.
This year alone. So
Yeah.
when was the first one this year?
The first one from this year, first week of the most previous semester.
Really? What happened with that? What
Well, I don't want to discuss how the medical incident happened.
Okay, that's fine. You don't have to.
Because, well, some of the people who helped me may have had some anxiety seeing me in that way.
Mhm.
But the summary of the story is that the thing that caused surgery 11 was, well, the tubing for my last shunt broke.
Oh, geez. Okay. Wow. And then the second one was that over the summer?
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
The second one was because the third ventricle in my brain broke, causing the fluid to clog.
And then the third one was this most recent one a while back. Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much, Carter, for, telling us everything about that.
Anytime.
Now let's do something a little bit more uplifting here. So you are known as the comic book guy, loving, media, pop culture, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and I'm also known as Hydro Warrior.
Hydro Warrior, yeah. So give me your top movie that is coming out either this year or next year that you are most looking forward to, you'd have to say.
Well, all I gotta say is the one movie I am definitely excited for, James Gunn's Superman movie.
James Gunn's Superman movie? That's what you're most looking forward to?
Yeah.
Okay.
It literally comes out 2 days after I turn 21.
Oh, dang, okay. 21. All right. So that was Carter Abraham talking about, his hydrocephalus, and all his, stuff he's been through with surgeries and all that. And then also James Gunn's Superman movie coming out. We talked about that a little bit. Make sure you guys go check that out because Carter's really excited for it. And Carter's a big, pop culture movie guy, Superman over here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and if he's expecting good things from it, so should you too. So that's all we have for this edition of the Encounter Podcast, this episode 2. Make sure you guys check out and go read The Encounter. Go pick it up from the Encounter office and keep a lookout for next episode. Thank you guys for listening.